All right, Al. It's AFC North prediction time.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I think we're still trying to remember exactly how we go about this, but I believe we discuss the teams, and then we'll do ceilings and floors. And once we get through the whole division, then we do records.
That's exactly how we did it the first time. Didn't do the second, but we're going to go 3 for 4 and do it for the last two.
Perfect.
So,
okay.
Right.
Well, starting out with the AFC North, we'll start out with last year's darlings and the team that won the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you think? Do you think it's a regression? Do you think they stay right up there? I mean,
I'll read you my first note.
Oh,
this should sum it up.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Regression.
Prime to repeat.
Wow.
That's my first
note.
Wow. Improved offensive line.
Massively.
They're one bugaboo from last year that might have cost him a Super Bowl.
Could be.
To be honest.
Yep, absolutely.
Jamar Chase is going to take another step and be even better. I mean, he played pretty damn well last year, but he's the second year in the league. He's got that mad chip on his shoulder now. He could get even better.
He could. But that is also usually, I don't know if it's usually, sophomore slumps, do those still exist?
I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think of one as far as like receivers kind of go recently. Right? I don't know. It seems like they only get better early on in their career, but more comfortable in the system. He's played with Joe Cool for a couple of years now, considering college and the pros.
The chemistry has to be off the charts even after last year. I mean, it's insane.
Teams will probably be scheming for him better, but I mean, he's an elite player.
Already. But, the other thing with that is if you start scheming for him better, you have to worry about T. Higgins, who is pretty damn good.
Boyd.
And Tyler Boyd, who is honestly one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL.
And Joe Mixon, who is well above average as running back goes, and he's a good pass catcher too.
I would agree so.
My last gushing note about the Bengals here, and I'll get into one slight concern with them.
Mm-hmm.
I have Joe Burrow as a sneaky MVP candidate this year.
I would totally agree.
Yeah. Maybe when we get into our, long prop bet stuff, I'll note that again. But yeah, I just have a feeling about it. But the only concern I really have for these guys right now, and it's an ongoing thing, I hope it will get resolved because he's a key part of that defense, is that Jesse Bates is not reporting for camp because he's looking for a new deal. He's under the tag. Right now he's their leader in the secondary and probably the best defensive player outside of Hendrickson.
I was about to say Trey Hendrickson. Excited to see him come back. I mean, he had a really good year last year.
They need to get him paid, and if they don't, they need to figure out what they're going to do. But
get a bag for him.
Yeah.
Is Eli Apple still on that team?
I don't know if he re-signed. I don't know.
I could be totally tripping. He might not even be on the Bengals. I could be totally wrong.
No, because they're talking about him in the playoffs. Remember?
Okay.
So
all right, good.
Yeah, man. Overall, very high on the Bengals. They really impressed last year, and it would be the most Bengals thing ever to just take a shit this year because
it would be.
Last year was kind of an anomaly from the past ever since we've watched football.
Yeah.
So, but I really do think that Joe Burrow is that dude. He's
Joe Cool. I mean,
he's been here for 2 years now, and I know he got hurt his rookie year, but I mean, they're a different vibe when he's playing and when he's like playing well. Like they're a different team, and he's the kind of guy that's what you want in the number one pick.
Mm-hmm. A guy who even instantly turned the franchise around. I mean, instantly. Yep. And I gotta say, guys like that, he's probably like once every 15 years.
Right. But the problem now is that, last year, no one was expecting this, and there's no expectation last year. And now you make it to the Super Bowl, and you have all the expectation in the world on your shoulder as far as that division goes. I mean, it's a rocky division. We're going to break down the rest, but yeah, man, it's a tough AFC, and there's lots of expectations. So good luck to them, but they were really impressive last year, and I think they can do it again.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I don't know. It's so tough to tell. I don't even if they do regress, I don't think it will be a big regression. I think they'll make the playoffs. But
The thing about the AFC is that it seems like all these teams they're going to have to kind of rip each other apart. I mean, there's so much talent in the AFC.
It's insane. It's insane how good the AFC is going to be this year. And it's going to be really tough for them to win the division, if not go to the playoffs through the wild card. And unfortunately, I feel like a regression will probably happen, only because it's so insanely hard for them to get back to the Super Bowl. The only way that they have a parallel year to last year or an even better year is for them to go win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, they were almost there, and they fixed their biggest problem. So, on paper, it could happen. It could,
absolutely. But, a lot of teams you got to go through to make it happen. I mean, I know they did it last year, but I feel like it's going to be even tougher for them to do that this year. But ceiling for Cincinnati?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, it's got to be. I mean, it's Super Bowl or bust for them at the moment. Floor, wild card exit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll be fine. But look, it's a tough conference. There's a way that their floor could be missing the playoffs.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So
if they don't win the division, they'll have to battle. Because I'm telling you, AFC West is sending at least 2 teams, if not 3.
Yeah, I guess I would say floor for the Bengals is probably just missing the playoffs. That's probably their floor.
I'd agree.
But Super Bowl is the ceiling.
You got to imagine, I think there's at least 2, if not more, teams capable of making the playoffs from every division. I would say AFC North and AFC West combined 7 teams, 3 from the North, 4 from all 4 of those teams in the West are capable of making the playoffs. 100%.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
So that's 7 teams right there, and then you tack on 4 more from the West, or I'm sorry, not the West, the South and the East. Because I mean, Patriots and Bills, 100%.
And everyone's so bullish on Miami right now. I mean,
Dolphins. Honestly, I mean, they barely missed out on it last year too. So I guess you can tag on another team. I think that's 12 teams.
It's loaded.
Out of 16, that's 3/4 of the AFC, where all those teams are fully capable of making the playoffs.
It's loaded.
Crazy to think.
So who's next here?
Did you know that Pittsburgh finished second in this freaking division?
I thought it was the Ravens for a bit, but
I did
no,
too.
It was Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Ravens, by the way, came in last.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is insane to me. But Pittsburgh, I'm expecting a massive regression this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big note is that they need to figure out the quarterback. They drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round, and reports coming out right now that he is looking like QB3 on the depth chart. And,
was he the first one taken?
Yeah. He was the first quarterback taken off the board in the draft. Next one didn't go to the third round. No, he was their first round pick.
He was the first round? Oh, wow.
And Malik Willis went next in the third round.
Yeah.
And people were not feeling this QB class. That's pretty apparent. He was the only one to be a first rounder. They also
20, by the way. It's not like he was a top 10 pick.
Right. They also signed Trubisky. And also Mason Rudolph still, who weirdly is still a storyline. That's their biggest problem. I mean, they have a good defense. Probably like a really good defense, a really, really good defense.
I feel like they haven't really lost a whole lot of guys. They got that. They still have Minka. They still have TJ. I think the defense is going to be there. They're going to have to rely on the run game a lot this year, which lucky for them, they have Najee Harris. So that's good.
Probably their best playmaker on offense. They do lose Juju for what it's worth. I know he kind of
fizzled out there hard.
Well, they, when AB left, they just penciled him in to be automatic wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
He very clearly proved that he could not handle that in Pittsburgh, at least. So he's gone. Chase Claypool also this is a big year for him to step up. And
I've been hearing a lot about Pickens. I think
they're the rookie receiver
out of Georgia, right?
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot about him.
I don't know.
And they still have, I think they still have Deontay Johnson.
Yes.
So, I mean, the wide receiver core is pretty well off A lot of young talent there.
I'm a little less crazy about Claypool. I don't know. I think he's a lot like Juju. I think he's very overhyped. I think he had a nice, boom
year.
onto the scene, and
he definitely had a. I mean that right there was probably prime example for a sophomore slump.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Because I mean, he did not have a great season last year. But
I don't know how you're really expecting any of these receivers to make a jump or not regress when the quarterback, potentially the best QB on your roster is Trubisky.
I'm expecting a bounce back year from him. I think.
I mean, are you expecting him to play?
Serviceable. If they start him, I think he could be serviceable. But if they don't, and he somehow loses out to Mason Rudolph,
right?
Disregard everything I just said.
Well, I think Trubisky, he signed a 2-year deal with them, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good situation for him right now because he probably is the best QB on the roster at the moment.
I have to imagine.
I know Kenny Pickett probably is the long-term plan. You don't spend a first-round pick on a quarterback unless you're planning on him to be the guy or whatever.
Right,
but yeah, I don't know. He just doesn't. It doesn't seem like he's ready. It sounds like he's not ready. It sounds like he's QB3. I mean, there's nothing else to really say about it.
These guys are really going to be QB2, like pushing for the starting job.
I think Pittsburgh's problem, though, is that they're in the AFC.
Yeah,
and this team, the NFC, maybe they could do something, but
yeah,
I think there's way too much talent, and I don't think they're a bottom feeder team, but I think that they're definitely a little below average. I'm looking at it right now.
I completely agree.
I think the defense is good enough to keep them in games. Najee is good enough to keep them in games, but like if the passing game is shit, you're just gonna stuff Najee, and that's it. That's all she wrote. So it's a very very problematic team on paper in some areas, but yeah, that's how I feel about
it. Yeah, no, I totally agree. What's your ceiling for Pittsburgh?
I'd say the wild card. Because this defense is definitely the best part of this team, and it is a pretty good defense. Najee, if he takes a step forward and you get good quarterback play out of one of your guys, they could surprise, but I don't think it's very likely. But yeah, that would probably be their ceiling to me. I don't think they would really advance much further than that. Mike Tomlin's a really good coach, though.
He is. He gets the most out of slept on.
So
that's so true. I was very down on this team for a long time. Coming into this, well, I guess not for a long time, but I was very down on this team coming into this. But there have been things said that are making me regret what I put down for their record. But I'm going to say ceiling for Pittsburgh, 8 wins.
Wow. Okay.
Floor for Pittsburgh, I'm going to say bottom 6 in the league.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same. That I didn't say my floor for them. I don't think.
No.
It's like they could be a wild card team, maybe, but you're kind of a little less than that for their ceiling. But for the floor, they're not as bad as the bottom feeders in the league.
No,
they're definitely maybe a little below. Yeah, they're going to win games and they're going to play well and they have enough to be middle of the pack. So that's kind of their floor.
They're playing the NFC South this year too, so I'm going to say that's at least 2 wins right there.
Yeah,
and then you got to imagine that they'll squeak out a couple more.
Yeah, there'll be a surprise win or two in there. Yeah, for sure.
Especially with this division, it's. Every time they play, it's who knows who's going to do what, right?
I was going to tease something, but never mind. Let's just keep going.
Okay. The team that came in third place last year was the Cleveland Browns. We discussed it a little bit earlier. Obviously, a huge factor in their first 6 games will be no Deshaun Watson. But their first 6 games, only 2 of them are road games, and I think there's only one team that is projected to have a winning record out of the 6 teams.
Yeah, their first couple games without him are just, you could not have scripted it better.
No, truly.
Again, premeditated decision outcome
100%.
Here, especially with the contract situation. Yeah, look, I mean, the whole thing is that I think if they split their first 6 games, if they go 3-3, maybe even 2-4, there's a very good chance that they could rally when Deshaun Watson gets back, because as much as I hate the guy, he is, when playing at a high level, you could argue he's a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's why they gave up the bank to get him. And he will be an upgrade if he plays well, and he plays at all.
Yeah.
They have probably one of the best running back tandems in the game. Receivers are a huge question mark, though, for me. Amari Cooper and David Bell and Donovan People-Jones. I mean, that's I don't know about that. That's pretty rough. You lose OBJ and Juice.
Yeah.
It's not a very, but you know what, Deshaun Watson's played with worse players than that. I mean, and he's been fine. But he had Hopkins for a long time, I guess, too. I don't know. So receiving core is their big question mark for me, offensively, anyways. Yeah. Offensive line's really good. Defense is also excellent.
Defense is still super stellar. The running game is probably the best in the NFL, and you tack on Deshaun Watson, who's going to be able to be a pretty big playmaker for you.
But we talked about him this time last year as the clear-cut division winner and a Super Bowl, candidate. But this time last year. So true. The only thing that's changed is they added Deshaun Watson, and the receiving core regressed. And a lot's changed as far as the narrative around the team goes.
That pushed Cleveland into Super Bowl contenders, honestly.
Adding Watson?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they did it.
Yeah, you get a possible top 5 quarterback in the NFL with the team that he has around him. I mean,
we're talking about this year, though, and we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, who historically have fucked up left, right, and center all over the place. And I mean, it's not an unbelievable possibility that they go out there and go 0-6. To me, there's so much drama.
Okay. On the road against Carolina, I had them losing this game.
I did too.
Especially with Baker coming in and playing. At home against the Jets, I think they can. Certainly, there's a possibility that they lose. I think they'll win that.
It's probably a win.
At home against the Steelers, I think they'll win that.
But if they have Josh Rosen playing,
I got to assume that they're going to play Jacoby Brissett.
But
again, I think
he's not going to. He's not going to elevate you to win games. I mean, I don't know.
I think they can win that.
It's a split right now for me. I don't know.
On the road against the Falcons,
it's a win. That one's got to be a win.
At home against the Chargers, I'll say that's a loss.
Yeah, for sure.
And at home against the Patriots,
loss.
Yeah, probably a loss. So what, 2-4?
Yeah, and they just threw it out there. They could work with that, but Deshaun Watson's going to come in, hit the ground running though.
Listen to the gauntlet this guy has to go through when he gets back. On the road against the Bengals, on the road against the Ravens, at home against the Bengals, on the road against the Dolphins, on the road against the Bills, at home against the Bucs, and then he plays the Texans.
Also, let's not forget either that first game he comes back with the Bengals, that's his first game in like a year and a half.
Yeah, that's his first game in a long time.
Against a team who
it will definitely take him some time to get going. Yeah, and if
they go high caliber opponents, and if it's like a mess like early on, and he gets back, they go 2-4, 1-5, 0-6, and he gets back and it's a mess. Good luck. I mean, you have a crazy hard schedule when they get back. And look, they're the Browns. I mean, I don't understand why it's out of the realm of possibility that this completely explodes.
I don't think it is, especially, now that we've kind of talked through it, with the fact that, they very well could go 2-4. They can go 3-3. Even if they're sitting at 3-3, and then you bring back a guy who is very capable of being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL and can be very good, but has not taken a live snap in almost 2 years.
Right.
I mean, it's going to take him some time to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, I mean, remember the season where San Francisco traded for Jimmy G, and this season was kind of a lost season at that point, but they got him, and then he rattled off 5 in a row to close it out, and everyone was really high up on them the next year.
And then they paid the living shit out.
That's kind of a realistic window for me with this team, because you have so much other talent in the AFC, but maybe towards the end you see something that you're okay, I know why they were okay to kind of not punt on the season because there still is some expectation, but like be willing to eat this season to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that.
Ceiling for the Browns, AFC Championship ceiling.
Okay.
That's if Deshaun Watson comes back and they aren't falling apart by the time he does, and then he just tears it up. Which a lot of things have to go right for that to happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna say divisional. I don't think they can get to the championship. I just don't think like there's too many good teams.
You know what? No, I'm changing it. You're right. I'd put it there.
Like they would have to, especially if because dude, they go 2-4 and drop one to the Steelers. They're gonna have to do some. They're gonna have to go. They're gonna win the next 5 games against their divisional opponents.
Well, spoiler alert: I don't have them winning the division.
Yeah,
in our
that's
final
what I'm
rankings.
saying. So then, not only are they playing another game, but then they have to go on the road throughout the entire playoffs, unless somehow the other wild cards beat their opponents. But even at that, I think you wouldn't be playing at home until the AFC Championship for that to happen. Which that's tough. That's very tough. Deshaun Watson's another guy who has played in a dome his whole life. He'll get some experience playing outside this year, but going to Arrowhead in January, sheesh, that's going to be tough.
I got a question too. Can I ask you something?
What's your floor for them?
Floor for Cleveland, 8 and 9.
Wow. Well, I did say there is a possibility this whole thing explodes. So I'll say like a 5-win season is their floor.
I don't think there's any way that happens. Especially,
never know.
Do you think?
Again, this Deshaun Watson situation is changing every day. So
yeah, very true.
This is assuming he comes back at week 7. But there's a chance that the chaos and the clown show that is the Browns explodes. There's a chance. And if that's the case, this roster is uber talented, so they probably can pull out a couple wins. But a 5-win season-ish is, I think, their absolute floor.
I don't know, Al. That's crazy talk. All right. Last team, Baltimore Ravens. I don't know, man. The defense, I feel like, got an improvement, but the offense, they didn't sign any wide receivers again this year, and they traded away the one that had some hope in Hollywood Brown. And they traded him to Arizona during the draft. So I really don't know with this team. Lamar Jackson, obviously, he's very, very good at times. Sometimes he's a little bit below average. I feel like all NFL fans believe that he is the most disrespected quarterback in the league. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see J.K. Dobbins finally play. Because, did he tear his ACL before like week 1 last year?
Yeah, he got hurt early last year.
Yeah. So it'll be exciting to see him play. They got to get the running game back to where it was. Mark Andrews is still there. He's Lamar's staple in that offense when it comes to throwing the ball. But the defense has gotten pretty freaking good. I don't know. Did you actually see the clip of Kyle Hamilton?
Yeah. Well, I'm reading through their depth chart as you're talking here. Yeah. Their defense. You can do what happened in the clip?
So Kyle Hamilton, here's the thing. He's a high cover safety who will mainly probably be covering tight ends, but he was doing a one-on-one drill with a wide receiver, and it looked like the guy didn't know how to run. Like, it was really bad.
Well, he's a rookie in a questionable class,
and it's a
learning curve
thing. It doesn't matter. He's not going to ever be doing that, really, especially with the wide receiver. So
I'm so high up on them that as of right now, they're my Super Bowl representative from the AFC. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you did not just say that.
This defense is filthy. There's no other way to put it. This defense is like probably the best defense in the NFL.
Is who's their really good corner?
Peters.
Marcus Peters.
And Marlon Humphrey.
Are they both?
And they bring in Marcus Williams from the Saints.
They
draft Kyle Hamilton. and they got Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen's a monster.
I mean, this defense is like they got Calais Campbell up front still rocking, dude. It's like
the defense is very good. There's no denying that at all.
And
offense is going to be a little interesting.
Well, this is the part that I think is like kind of the linchpin in this season for me. Unless something happens before the season starts, as far as like a contract goes, Lamar Jackson playing on a contract year this year
he's going to have to ball out.
Is huge. And
I mean, he was an MVP. Did he win the MVP?
He won the MVP the year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl against the Bucs. Or no, sorry, against the 49ers.
That's my like one thing is we saw them at their highest and they got bounced in the first round or the divisional.
He's gonna have to repeat that level of play for sure. And that's a big if. But look, he's on a contract year where he is not signed a new deal yet, and I don't think it's gonna happen until next offseason. And I'm assuming at this point he wants to shatter the market and become the highest paid quarterback.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to go ball out, and when he's good, he's really good.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think them trading away Hollywood Brown. I know a lot of people are skeptical about that decision because who do you have to throw to at this point? But to me, that's what it said. It said, well, we don't really need it. Like
they don't use their wide receivers. Period.
Their offense is like really unique. It's
tight end and running game,
and they have one of the best tight ends in the NFL.
Top 3, I would say.
They have a really good offensive line.
Not top 4.
I mean, this team, it's like it's a bizarre team, but there's so many pieces right now that if they go right, they could be really, really hard to stop.
Yeah. And
I think in the AFC, where everyone's going to be tearing each other apart, it's a lot up for a lot of teams to grab that Super Bowl spot. I don't know, man, just their offseason and just the way that this thing is being primed up this year with Lamar's contract looming too. I don't know. They got a unique feeling to me this year.
They killed it in the draft too. I'm really excited to see how their rookie class does. They had a lot.
Some were saying they had the best draft of anybody.
Because I mean, in some of the picks that they got on the defensive side, I would not be shocked if those guys came in and started making impacts right away.
And the cherry on top of all this is last year's AFC North champion was the last place team the year before, the Cincinnati Bengals. Wow. You turn it all around this year.
It's very possible.
I have them.
So your ceiling's obviously Super Bowl. I'm going to say, God, you really got me passionate about the Baltimore Ravens with your little speech right there.
There's lots of ifs.
I really don't like them too.
You are definitely team not Lamar for sure.
I've never been a believer in that team. I'll say is divisional right before conference championship, right? Yeah.
Conference championship, yeah, then divisionals before.
I'll say AFC conference champion. I don't know. They do have a really good defense.
The only thing about
they had the best defense in the NFL this year.
Lamar can't beat Patrick Mahomes. That's the only thing. And
didn't they win last year? Didn't they have like a huge comeback against the Chiefs early on in the season on like Monday night? I think they did. I could be wrong. But I'll say ceiling. I'll say AFC Championship. But yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is like I feel like they really have not proven themselves in the playoffs. So it'd be interesting.
That's the hump for him to get through, though. You know what I mean? Like if he can do that,
he's got to take that leap.
Then if he can take that leap, then he will cement himself as one of the premier. I mean, he already kind of is, but you know what I mean? Like he'll really go that next stratosphere if he can get over the hump and start winning playoff games.
Yeah. All right. So what's your floor for the Baltimore Ravens?
Honestly, dude, this is how high up I am on them. I would say floor is like divisional round.
Yeah.
That's my floor. I think they're going to get in the playoffs. And I think they will get a playoff win at least. And they might get bounced after that. I don't know, but they're definitely getting the postseason.
I'll say fringe wild card.
Their schedule is pretty forgiving too. It's not too bad.
Well, they came in last, so they're playing the Jets, they're playing the Jaguars, they're playing Denver, which Denver honestly is a huge upgrade from last year. So, right, Denver came in last in the AFC West last year, right?
Yeah.
So that's a little forgiving right there. And they're
Lots of-
playing the AFC South. So again, I mean, like, that's a guaranteed 2 wins, possibly another 3 against the Saints. And then, I mean, who knows? They could beat Tampa.
Lots
Pretty
of like.
solid.
Lots of like.
Pretty solid.
AFC North record predictions.
Okay. Do you want to? We'll both say our 4th place team.
Well, we've been doing them. We just rifle through. So let's just keep it consistent.
Okay, fine. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers finishing last at 3-14.
Okay.
I have then Baltimore coming in 3rd, losing the tiebreaker at 10-7 to the Cleveland Browns, who come in 2nd at 10-7.
So you're telling me it's more realistic for Watson to come in and run the table than it is for the Baltimore Ravens, who are primed in every way to be a division winner.
I don't know. I mean, the team was pretty freaking good last year, and they didn't. They went 8-9.
Well,
so it's a improvement on last year for Baltimore in my book.
All right.
And finally, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. I think regressing a little bit, going 11-6 and barely making it out of the AFC North
as the winner.
Yep.
Well, we're definitely a little bit different, but we do both have the Pittsburgh Steelers in last. I have them at 5-12, though. I have them a little bit better than 3 wins. I mean, we kind of talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it. They're good enough to be. I mean, even based on our conversation, I probably would give them another win off of that. But 5-12. I think they're going to be the worst in the division. It's a tough conference, and they got to figure out the quarterback thing. So, first and foremost, 3rd place, the Cleveland Browns at 7-10.
I'm sorry, I have one little change. I had Baltimore winning the tiebreaker. Baltimore finished 2nd in the division, not Cleveland. Sorry.
All right, it's fine. So yeah, Cleveland Browns 7-10. I think it's going to be rocky without Deshaun Watson there, and then when he gets back, their schedule's brutal. There's a ton of expectations on him to come in and turn it around, and I just think they acquired him and they structured this year the way it's been structured to be understanding that it might be a year that's just gone with the wind. Yeah, just not their year this year, I don't think. But they're planning for the future. So
okay.
2nd place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals, 11-6, same as you. I think they do. Actually, I think that's a little better than the record was last year. I think they were 10-7 getting in. I think.
You might be right,
but about the same range.
Yep.
AFC's pretty tough, so it's kind of who knows. But I think they'll pull out some wins and make the playoffs. And lastly, I have the Ravens finishing 13-4, which is, I think, the best record I've predicted so far, like as far as the most win totals of any team in the league. Number 1 seed in the AFC as of right now. But we still got to cover the West. So who knows?